What is up, everyone? This is Dylan, and we're going to do a quick buckshot review of Timberborn today. This is one of my favorite games so far that I've played in early access. I've played it a lot, currently playing it on stream. So, just like our last review, I figured I'd do one that was going to get a little bit higher score, and this is what I came to because, like I said, we've been currently playing it, so I'm kind of up to date on everything that's going on. So the first category would be graphics, and as you can see, it's a pretty simple game. Everything is kind of beaver themed. It's a beaver themed simulator. Everything is made of wood, straw, all that stuff. A lot of this stuff is brand new, like these monuments and this fountain. And then there's also some other stuff like this. It's got some pretty cool stuff like these conduits that run energy. They are just spinning logs, and it uses a lot of like cog wheels and stuff like that. So I've given it a 7 out of 10. The reason why is we have a bunch of stuff, right, going on. It looks relatively good. It's very niche for what the game is. It fits the theme pretty well. However, because there's so many things moving on, the game hasn't been optimized incredibly well, and it causes quite a bit of lag once you get to a city about this size. Aside from that, once you can zoom in pretty well, and things kind of get a little wonky. You know, as you can see, things kind of clip here and there. Your beavers kind of run into each other and whatnot. Overall, I think throughout the rest of early access, they're going to get these things fine-tuned, and it's going to be a lot more fluid. That's at least the goal. Moving on to gameplay, I give it a 9 out of 10. It's a very solid city builder. It focuses a lot on verticality. So like I have a stacked set of residences right here. And as you can see, everything kind of flows pretty well. Really have no issues with that. The mechanics work well, so I've got, you have to generate power, so you try to go up as high as possible to make your windmills have more power, and you can have things like gravity batteries, and you just kind of exist. It's a typical city builder with a pretty nice set of gameplay mechanics. Aside from that, things you can do that are kind of beavery, you make dams and sluices and things like that, like this. So this is my reservoir. I hold water over here, and then this is my river. So water comes in right here from the side of the map, and it flows through here. It fills this reservoir. Once this is full, it starts filtering to my downriver. Okay? And then I've got floodgates on this end that stop it from keeping, it basically keeps a certain level in here. Otherwise, it stays in the reservoir. For the loop, it's pretty weak. It's a 6. So once you get past the main mechanics of the game and you get into like the day-to-day processing your city, you're going to hit some serious snags. A lot of city builders do a very good job of giving you specifics on how much, one resource will turn into another. This one, not so much. So you've kind of got to guess. So you have lumber, you have trees, right? Foresters grow the trees, lumberjacks cut them down. They get processed into planks over here, and then those get split up into things like cogs. But it's not so easy to determine the ratio of how many lumber mills you need compared to cogsmiths, stuff like that. A lot of games have a much better loop on that. And then aside from that, you'll hit shortages really often. So as you can see, everything's kind of wood-based. The economy kind of necessarily runs on trees. So it takes a long time for good trees to grow. So like I've got a tree farm here, 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 and here. And I'm still, as you can see up here at the top, very low. Now everything is seamless if you get the ratios right. But as you can see, I've kind of outstripped my demand, and a lot of my stuff on this end is running very low. So that's kind of annoying. Aside from that, the loop is building your city. And so if you hit snags like I do, one snag was I ran out of maple syrup. It's a thing, obviously. I had to start planting more maple trees. Well, you have to let them grow to full size. These are just starting out. And then only after that do they start to produce syrup. And so it takes quite a while. So that's why I've given it a 6 out of 10 on that. For music, the sound effects are pretty. They are cute. They are thematic. However, When you stream or play this game for more than an hour, you're going to hit dead spots where nothing's playing. And it's not great. There will be a good 20-minute section where there's just no sound, except for maybe a beaver dying or something in the background. Now, there are some fun sound effects. So, like, you'll click on a little wonder, or click on a beaver, and they have some funny sounds. But I'd like to see more. I'd like to see a little bit more when it comes to a more diverse soundtrack, or if they could fix it so that the soundtrack that exists loops. Might not increase their score quite a bit, but it would increase it a little bit, because then at least you'd have something to listen to the whole time. Ability. This game has a very active community and a very active team. I'm giving it a 9 out of 10. It receives regular updates and has a pretty active community for things like modding. Now, the additional modding score is only a 1 out of 3, because you can't do fundamental changes. You can do some cosmetic things. So I changed, like, I downloaded ladders, right? Instead of having to use stairs all the time. It just makes things easier. Another thing I have is, where's it at? Sorry, my city's kind of big. I've got a little train, right? And if my map was a little bit bigger, I could use my little train here to move goods around. However, the implementation's a little lacking because the framework of the game doesn't really support it. Aside from that, one of the other major things about modding in this game is making your own custom maps, because the map editor is huge, lends itself to crowdsourcing. It takes probably a good day to make a map, and that would be a mediocre map. There's people that spend weeks on them, and they're great. But that doesn't fundamentally change the game. All it does is give you another map to play on. So that's why it's getting a 1, and it's getting a 9 on viability. So the total score is 38 out of 50, or a 76%. That's a very high score, honestly, the way I grade. I would really, like I said last time, anything above like a 50 is something I would like to play, right? And as long as I can see it coming out, it's going to be something that I'm going to sink a lot of hours into. The next game we look into next week will be a game that is completely, or not completely, but mostly dead. And so it'll kind of give you a nice balance on what I'm looking for in a game. So far, this is a hard recommend. If you like city builders or like beavers, why not, right? There's a lot of cool stuff you can do even with just the base game, and it's still in early access. There's also another faction of beavers. So these are like traditional beavers that have families and stuff. Also, I have robots. That's a big part of the game. You can slowly replace your beavers with robots. But there's another faction that are basically the Borg. So they grow through like growth pods, and they don't really care about each other. They work as a unit and love machines. So if either of those flavors of ice cream are kind of your jam, this is going to be your game. Dylan out.